In the heart of every Indian, there lies a flame, lit by justice, liberty, and equality's name. A document not just written in ink or art, but carved in sacrifice, etched in every heart. We welcome you all with warmth and cheer to celebrate the spirit that we hold so dear.
A very graceful and splendid morning to one and all present out here. Today, standing tall on the foundation of our dreams and aspirations, I, Sanchi Sedana,
And I, Desia,
on the behalf of our class 9th week, with joyous hearts, warmly welcome our Honorable Managing Director, Dr. P.S. Udan Sir, esteemed directors, revered teachers, cherished parents, and our dear fellow students to this beautiful journey of remembrance, reflection, and reverence. This morning is not just an event, it is a voice of gratitude echoing to every performance, a celebration of the ideals that unite us as one nation.
today we gather here not just to honor a document, but to celebrate the very heartbeat of our nation, the Indian Constitution, adopted on 26th January 1950. It is the lengthiest written constitution in the world, with a unique blend of ancient ideals and modern visions. Rooted in justice, blossoming through liberty, and flowering into equality, it is the soul of our democracy, giving every citizen not just rights, but responsibilities.
It is this constitution that binds a land of 1,000 languages, cultures, and beliefs into one sovereign spirit. It gives us the right to speak, to dream, to dissent, and to inspire without fear and with pride. And so, with open hearts and curious minds, let us now unfold the vibrant spectrum of today's presentations. Each moment ahead is crafted with care, commitment, and creativity, a tribute to the Constitution that shapes us all.
Now let us pause and calm our minds as we invoke peace and strength through the power of prayer. Please join your hands and close your eyes for the short prayer.
Where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments, by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where the mind is led forward by thee, into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake.
Every day is a blank page in the story of our lives, and a meaningful thought gives us the ink to begin writing well. So now, I welcome Yuganshu for class to present the thought of the day.
The Constitution of India is not just a book of laws, it is the soul of our democracy, ensuring justice, equality, and liberty to every citizen. I repeat my thought. The Constitution of India is not just a book of laws, it is the soul of our democracy, ensuring justice, equality, and liberty to every citizen. Thank you.
As we continue our journey to the celebration of our nation's values, we now present a skit that will take us back in time, offering a glimpse of the historical need for a constitution. I now invite you to immerse yourselves in this powerful performance as the students of class 9th week bring the story to life.
Scene 1. The teacher enters the classroom.
Good morning, class. Please sit down. Today we are going to begin a chapter that doesn't just belong in books. It lives in our every right, every freedom, and every breath we take as citizens. We'll begin the story of our Indian Constitution, the soul of our democracy.
Ma'am, I have always wondered, why did we even need a constitution in the first place? I mean, we got independence. Wasn't that enough?
That's a golden question, Arav. Freedom gives us wings, but a constitution gives us direction. After 200 years of the British rule, India stood free, but also uncertain, divided, and chaotic. We needed rules that we made and a system that protected every voice and every dream, no matter how small.
So, ma'am, when did the idea of our Indian Constitution first emerge? Was it after 1947
The seeds were sown even before our freedom. In 1934, M.N. Roy, a radical humanist and a great thinker, proposed the idea of the Indian Constitution. And by 1946, it became real when our Constituent Assembly came together to draft a constitution which would define the soul of our independent nation.
So that means we had no rights before 1950.
Not the way we do now. Under British rule, laws were made to serve the rulers, not the people. There was no guaranteed freedom, no equality before law, and no protection against injustice.
Ma'am, I want to know everything. How they made our constitution, what they debated about, and how it was finally adopted.
Then let's go back in time. Let's see how our constitution was framed, what challenges were faced, and how it became the backbone of our democracy.
Time traveling to the past. Scene 2. The birth of the Indian Constitution. The year is 1946. The year is 1946. India is still under British rule, but the desire for freedom is stronger than ever. The British government, under the Cabinet Mission Plan, has allowed the Indians to form a Constituent Assembly, a group of chosen representatives who will write the nation's constitution, which will be written by the Indians and for the Indians. Please welcome Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Here comes Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Please welcome Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Here comes Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Please welcome Sarojini Naidu. Here comes Maulana Azad. Please welcome K.M. Munshi.
The British laws were never meant for a free India. We need to write our own destiny now. This is our chance. We must write the constitution that will shape the future of a free India.
Yes, and it must replace the Government of India Act 1935, a law made by the British that doesn't reflect the soul of our nation.
India is a land of many communities, Hindus, Muslims, Christians and Sikhs. How do we unite them all under one law, one vision?
Through justice, equality and liberty. The Constitution must ensure that no one is above the law and no one is left behind, especially the oppressed.
And so, the Constituent Assembly was formed in December 1946. It had 389 members from across the country, including representatives from provinces, princely states, and minorities. Though elected indirectly, the Assembly was diverse and inclusive, with lawyers, freedom fighters, and reformers from all regions. It had strong women leaders like Sarojini Naidu, Hansa Mehta, and Rajkumari Ambedkar, who voiced the concerns. The Assembly held its first meeting on 9 December 1946, with Dr. Rajendra Prasad later elected as its permanent president. The Assembly marked the beginning of India's journey towards framing its own constitution. For the first time, India had the power to decide what kind of nation India should be.
This is no small task. We must ask, what kind of India do we want to build?
One where every citizen feels they belong, where law protects all, no matter their caste, religion or language.
We must bring unity in diversity. That is our greatest challenge. Our greatest strength.
And we must ensure that the weakest are never ignored again. The Constitution must give them protection and dignity.
Then, in 1947, India finally achieved independence. But freedom came with partition, pain, and uncertainty. After the partition, the strength of the Constituent Assembly was reduced to 299 members. This reduction occurred because members representing provinces that became part of Pakistan withdrew from the Assembly. There was no constitution yet, no clear law to guide the new nation. There was confusion, fear, and violence. The new India needed structure, it needed unity, it needed a constitution.
Now, more than ever, India must be held together, not by force, but by justice.
And by faith in equality, in democracy, and in each other.
This scene marks the beginning of that great journey, the birth of India's constitution, a task filled with hope, struggles, and vision.
Scene 3. The making of future, the making of the Indian Constitution.
After centuries of struggle, India is finally free. But now a new challenge stands.
to give this nation a guiding path, a set of laws, values and rights, a constitution, not just for governance but for justice, equality and unity. On the day of 29th August 1947, the drafting committee was formed with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as its chairman.
I accept this responsibility with deep humility. The Constitution must not only govern India, it must transform India. It must protect the weak, empower the forgotten, and unite the diverse.
Now, let us begin shaping the Constitution of India. Every decision we make today will echo through centuries.
Women's equality and rights. As the Constitution takes form, the voices rise for justice and the call is clear. Women must stand equal in the eyes of the law.
In this new India, a woman must be seen as an equal, not just in speech but in law. We have marched for freedom, now we must march for dignity.
Well said, Sarojini ji. A nation cannot rise when half of its people are left behind. Let us ensure equality in education, employment and rights.
Yes, no law, no custom, no practice shall allow any discrimination towards women. That shall be the promise of our Constitution.
Fundamental rights. They now turn to the rights that will protect every citizen, ensuring freedom, dignity and equality for all.
To truly be free, every Indian must enjoy certain rights such as freedom of speech, equality before law and protection from exploitation.
And protection against untouchability. We cannot let social injustice remain in a land that calls itself free.
We shall include 6 fundamental rights. They will be the shield of every citizen, rich or poor, powerful or powerless.
We need to make sure that everyone can stand in the court of law with dignity protected by these rights.
Directive principles and fundamental duties. With rights come responsibilities. It's time to shape the duties of every Indian and the guiding principles which will steer future governments toward justice and welfare.
Rights alone are not enough. The state must be guided by moral responsibilities to provide education, reduce inequality, and protect the environment.
Yes, these shall be our directive principles of state policy, not enforceable in court but sacred in spirit.
And let us not forget, citizens too must have responsibilities to respect women, protect public property, preserve heritage and uphold the Constitution. These will be our fundamental duties.
Parliamentary system and federal structure. Next, the shape a system where power is shared between the centre and the states, the people and their parliament.
India must adopt a parliamentary system where power flows from people and leaders are accountable to them.
And a federal structure with powers divided between the state and the centre, but with the nation always remaining united.
Well said. The Constitution shall lay out a threefold distribution of power. The union list for the centre, the state list for the states, and the concurrent list for both. This is needed to avoid confusion and conflict and to ensure smooth governance in a diverse country like India.
The constitution makers also studied the world's best democracies. From the British, we took the parliamentary system. From the United States, the fundamental rights and judicial review. The directive principles were inspired by Ireland, the idea of republic and liberty from France, the emergency powers from Germany, and the procedure for constitutional amendment from South Africa. But the soul of our constitution was always Indian, rooted in our values, our struggles, and our dreams. Preamble, the soul of the constitution. And finally, they pen the soul of this great document, the preamble, a vision of what India must forever strive to be.
We need a preamble, a guiding light, a declaration of what India stands for.
Yes, the preamble will speak of our values: sovereignty, equality, liberty, justice, and fraternity. It will be the soul of the Constitution and express its heart in a few powerful words.
And that soul must be protected always. No matter the time or the government, its spirit must never be lost.
And it will remind every Indian that the Constitution is not just for law, but for love, for unity, and for humanity.
What if future governments try to misuse power?
There shall be a basic structured doctrine, certain core principles that can never be amended. Democracy, secularism, equality. These will always be the foundation of India.
Adoption of the Constitution. After 2 years, 11 months and 18 days of tireless debate and dedication, the Constitution was ready. It had 395 articles, 8 schedules and 22 parts.
Today, we adopt this constitution with pride and hope. May it serve every Indian with fairness and truth.
We have made this document with reason and sacrifice, but its success depends not on paper, but on people who live by it.
The Constitution came into effect on 26 January 1950. This was not a random date.
It was on 26 January 1930 that we had first declared Purna Swaraj, complete independence. Today, that dream becomes law.
Thus, India became a republic, a nation governed not by rulers but by its people, guided forever by this living document, the Constitution of India.
Scene 4. The Constitution lives through us. The teacher again enters the classroom.
So children, you see, this is how our constitution was made. The constitution isn't just any book. It's the soul of our democracy. A quiet guardian that protects every Indian, no matter where they come from.
It gives us rights but also duties. We must stand up for not just ourselves but for those who can't. From today, I won't just respect the Constitution, I will live by it.
We promise to be responsible citizens of India, to cherish, protect and uphold our constitution in word and in deed.
I am the voice, heart of a billion hopes, the soul of a sovereign nation. It is you who gave me birth, and it is you who must uphold me. I stand tall on 4 mighty pillars: justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. In every classroom where girls like Amina study, in every home where dignity breathes freely, and in every street where voices are raised without fear, I live on. Thank you.
Sufi music is not just heard, it is felt. It speaks the language of love, devotion and divine connection. Presenting before you a heartfelt Sufi group song by talented performers.
सरकार तेरा वर्ष मुझे कर दे मुझे मुझसे ही रिहा अब मुझको भी हो दीदार तेरा कर दे मुझे मुझसे ही रिहा मुझसे ही रिहा रंगरेजा रंगरेजा रंगरेजा
As we delve deeper into the fabric of our nation's foundation, we now turn to an enlightening group discussion that will take us through the history, significance and formation of the Indian Constitution. I now warmly welcome the students of my class for the same.
The Indian Constitution is the longest written constitution in the world with 448 articles, 25 parts and 12 schedules as of now. It was adopted on 26 November 1949 and came into effect on 26 January 1950, which we now celebrate as Republic Day. The Constituent Assembly initially consisted of 389 members and 299 members after the partition framed it in 2 years, 11 months and 18 days, with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as the chairman of the drafting committee. Arush, can you tell us how many women were a part of this historic assembly?
There were 15 women in the Constituent Assembly, including powerful voices like Sarojini Naidu, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur and Durgabai Deshmukh. The original constitution was handwritten in Hindi and English by Prem Bihari Narayan Rai Zada and beautifully illuminated by Nandalal Bose and his students. Ansh, can you please tell us different committees involved in drafting the constitution?
Absolutely. The constitution was shaped by over 20 specialized committees, the most important being the drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Other key ones were the Union Constitution Committee headed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Advisory Committee on Fundamental Rights led by Sardar Patel. Arith, can you tell who delivered the famous Tryst with Destiny speech and how it's connected to our constitution?
Yes, the Tryst with Destiny speech was delivered by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on the eve of independence. While it wasn't a part of the constitution, it symbolized the spirit of freedom and democracy the constitution would later enshrine. Interestingly, the original constitution had 395 articles, and today, with over 100 amendments, it continues to grow. Ansh, can you explain how the constitution remains stable yet adaptable over time?
It is both rigid and flexible. Some parts can be amended with a simple majority, while others need special majority and state ratification. This dual structure allows changes without chaos. Aditya, while we are on interesting facts, can you mention who was the first to sign the Indian Constitution?
Yes, the first person to sign our constitution was Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the president of the Constituent Assembly, who later became India's first president. Also, many don't know that Constitution Day or Samvidhan Divas is celebrated on 26 November every year since 2015 to honor the day of its adoption. Gulshan, since you have taken inspiration from many countries, can you tell what are they and which unique feature makes our constitution truly original?
Definitely. We adopted the parliamentary system from the UK, fundamental rights from the US, directive principles from Ireland and emergency provisions from Germany. But these were Indianized to match our society. The unique feature of our constitution would be the directive principles of state policy found in Part 4 of the Indian Constitution. These are non-enforceable guidelines for the government to promote economic and social democracy. Sahaj, how do these directive principles differ from fundamental rights?
Great question. The fundamental rights part 3 are enforceable by courts, while directive principles serve as guiding values. For instance, you can approach Supreme Court if your rights under Article 14 or 21 are violated, but not for directive principles such as Article 44, which discuss about Uniform Civil Code. Rajdeep, can you share a lesson on article which rarely talked about?
Of course. One lesson on article is Article 51A, which urges the citizens to develop scientific temper and humanism. Another interesting one is Article 44, which talks about the UCC or the Uniform Civil Code, aiming to bring personalized uniform laws for all the citizens regardless of their religion. However, due to India's vast religious diversity, this law has not been implemented yet and is still a topic of ongoing debate. Khyati, since we're talking about duties, can you tell us more about fundamental duties?
We have 11 fundamental duties added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976, like respecting the Constitution, preserving heritage and protecting public property. The reminders of our responsibilities. Midansh, this amendment seems big. Why is the 42nd called the mini constitution?
The 42nd Amendment of the Constitution is called the Mini Constitution because it brought major changes. It added the words socialist, secular and integrity to the preamble, introduced fundamental duties and gave Parliament more power. Namish, can you please tell what makes preamble so important?
The preamble is like the philosophical guide for constitution. It defines India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and emphasizes justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. Though not legally binding, it helps courts interpret laws. Parini, can you explain how the constitution deals with times of crisis? It allows for 3 types of emergencies under Part 18. National emergency, Article 352. State emergency, Article 356 and financial emergency, Article 360. In these times, the centre can take greater control and even fundamental rights can be restricted, especially under Article 19. So far, India has seen 3 national emergencies in 1962 China War, 1971 India-Pakistan War and the most controversial one during 1975 to 1977 declared by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi when civil liberties were suspended and press censorship was imposed. Muskan, what safeguards do minorities have under such a strong central system?
Great question. The Constitution gives special protections to minorities and weaker sections through Article 15, Article 16 and Article 30, allowing reservations and cultural rights. Article 330 and Article 332 reserve seats in legislatures for SCs and STs, ensuring their voice in democracy. These ensure inclusivity and diversity. Sujal, can you explain what federalism means in our constitution?
Federalism means that powers are divided between the center and the states. India follows a threefold distribution. The union list for subjects handled by the center, the state list for state-specific matters like public health and police, and the concurrent list like making laws. Vikramaditya, with such division of power, how does citizenship work in India?
Interestingly, India follows the concept of single citizenship. Unlike countries like the United States where dual citizenship exists, in India, every person is the citizen of the country as a whole, not of any specific states. This promotes national unity and ensures that all citizens enjoy equal rights and obligations regardless of the state they belong to. It also prevents regional divisions and promotes the idea of one nation. Kavya, has the constitution ever been challenged in the court?
Yes, in several landmark cases, the most famous is the case Vananda Bharati v. State of Kerala, 1973 case where the Supreme Court laid down the basic structure Dr. 9. This Dr. 9 became a permanent safeguard against the misuse of amendment powers and had protected by key values like democracy, secularism and rule of law.
Through this discussion, we see that our Indian Constitution is not just a legal document, it's a living, evolving guide that touches every aspect of our lives. It guarantees freedom, equality, justice, and at the same time reminds us of our duties. Whether it may be through its articles, amendments, rights, or duties, it shapes our identity as Indian citizens. The more we understand it, the better we serve our nation. Thank you.
Up next, we present a performance where melody meets coordination, a group instrumental that reflects harmony and artistic excellence. Let's welcome our young musicians on the dais as they take you on a musical performance.
Now get ready to witness a talk show where voices echo with purpose. The dreams, thoughts and rights of young India take center stage. Presenting to you the Youth Sabha, the Constitution and us.
The Youth Sabha, where the voice of young India speaks loud and clear. Today, let's talk about the relevance of the Indian Constitution to us, the youth, and hear it from 4 different students, all from different walks of life. Let's start. Sanji, how has the Constitution shaped your journey?
Namaste. I come from a small village in Bihar where dreams were once smaller than the school walls we didn't have. A place where roads were narrow and so were mindsets. A few years ago, I didn't even know girls could dream. But then came the right to education and it opened a locked door. For the first time, the idea of a classroom didn't feel like a luxury. It felt like a right. And when I held my first textbook, it didn't just teach me lessons. It whispered that I mattered. Now, my books are my passport. Earlier, people said, what will a girl do with education? Now I say, give me a pen and I'll rewrite the future. This constitution, it's not just paper, it's power. My power.
That's beautiful. Sujal, how is the Constitution connected to your daily life?
Hey, I am Sujal from Delhi. Like most of us, I live online. Scroll, click, post and repeat. But here's the thing, freedom in real life matters more than the followers. Sometimes when I speak up, I get trolled. But Article 19 of the Indian Constitution, right to freedom of speech, says that I can express myself truthfully, respectfully and fearlessly. And while we are at it, your chats, photos, passwords, that's your space protected by the right to privacy. This constitution does not just give us voice, but also teaches us to use it wisely.
Amazing. Now, Arith, what does the Article 14 of the Constitution mean for someone like you?
Salam. I come from a tribal village in Chhattisgarh. We have been called backward, invisible, forgotten. But the Constitution, it never forgot us. Article 14, right to equality, says that I am not less. It reminded me that dignity isn't given, it's guaranteed. Now, I stand tall in my identity, in my culture, in my rights. The Constitution didn't just see me, it made me visible to the whole country.
Thank you for sharing that, Arith. Nehal, how has the Constitution changed the way you see yourself?
Hi, I'm Nehal. Growing up, I often heard, girls can't lead. Politics isn't for you. Stay quiet, stay nice. But then I read Article 15. No discrimination on the basis of gender, it said. And I felt something shift inside. Now, I raise my voice, I raise my hand. I raise expectations. And soon, I'll raise the voting finger too. But rights aren't one way. We also have duties to respect others, to protect the planet, to keep peace. The Constitution doesn't just make me equal, it makes me responsible.
Different lives, different stories. But one thing in common, the Constitution of India. It's not just a book, it's a living promise, and as young citizens of India, now it's our turn to carry that promise forward. Thank you.
In the sacred confluence of rhythm and melody, magic is created. And today, we are about to witness that magic. A live classical dance accompanied by soulful music. Presenting before you are gifted artists ready to create a living canvas of art and emotion. Let's welcome them and let the rhythm of their feet enchant us all.
धरत हाथ में आबिल गुलाला धरत हाथ में आबिल गुलाला खेलत होरी मगन गोपाला खेलत होरी मगन गोपाला भर पिचकारी मोहे मारी भर पिचकारी मोहे मारी मोरी सारी चुनर बिगारी मोरी सारी चुनर बिगारी मोरी भैया दिए मनोरे करे हैं मुझसे जोरा जोरी बड़ो नटखट है बड़ो नटखट है नंद को लाला खेलत होरी मदन गुब्बारा खेलत होरी मदन गुब्बारा मदन गुब्बारा मदन
When melodies rise, heart align. A song becomes magic, pure and divine. Songs are more than just tunes. They are emotions wrapped in rhythm and thoughts placed in harmony. So, I invite the students of my class for a melodious English song.
Driving too fast, moon is breaking through the air. She's heading for
जाए शब्दों की उड़ान तो कविता बन जाती है दिलों की पहचान. Poetry has the power to capture the essence of our deepest values, and today, through the Hindi poem, we will be reminded of the vision, justice and wisdom embedded in our constitution. So let us now welcome our talented students to perform a heartful Hindi poem on our Indian constitution.
कोटि कोटि कंठों से निकली, कोटि कोटि कंठों से निकली एक यही स्वर धारा है, सबसे न्यारा सबसे प्यारा सुसंविधान हमारा है.
समता का अधिकार दिलाकर, समता का अधिकार दिलाकर शिक्षा का जियारा है. नारी को सम्मान दिलाकर, नारी को सम्मान दिलाकर उज्जवल भविष्य संवारा है.
ना कोई राजा ना कोई प्रजा, ना कोई राजा ना कोई प्रजा, लोकतंत्र अति प्यारा है. दुनिया में गुणगान तुम्हारा, दुनिया में गुणगान तुम्हारा, नीति बड़ा ही न्यारा है.
देश का गौरव गरिमा है तू, देश का गौरव गरिमा है तू, काशी चर्च गुरुद्वारा है. संविधान का पन्ना पन्ना तेरा और हमारा है.
भीमराव की चली लेखनी, भीमराव की चली लेखनी, दूर हुआ अंधियारा है. बहते दरिया में नावों का, बहते दरिया में नावों का सुंदर एक किनारा है. सबसे प्यारा सबसे न्यारा सुसंविधान हमारा है, सुसंविधान हमारा है. धन्यवाद.
Music begins where words end and instrument become the voice of the soul, presenting a solo instrumental performance of gratitude composed by Arun Tufani that promise to stir your heart in silence.
When thoughts find rhythm and truth meets grace, a poem is born to leave behind a timeless trace. Now I welcome Daisy of my class to present a thought-provoking, self-composed English poem based on the Indian Constitution.
The Constitution of India, to me, is not just a book we simply see. It's a guide that shows us what's right. It gives us truth, it gives us light. Our founders made it with love and care, so that every person gets respect that's fair. No matter if you have much or few, its doors of rights are always open to you. It teaches us to choose our way, to speak our thoughts without delay. It protects the dreams in every heart. Whether big or small, we all have a part. And so today, I, Desia, stand here proud, with love for my nation, saying it aloud, that I shall follow its pride and poise, and carry its values with pride and poise. Thank you.
Dance is the hidden language of the soul. When words fall short, dance takes over. And now it's time to turn up the energy, welcoming before you the talented students of our class to present our group dance.
मन के अंधेरे भगाकर, ज्ञान का दीप जलाकर, मन